This is Water Elemental.
And this is Axis, and we are here today to talk about the League of Legends. It's an ongoing show where we talk a little bit about everyone's favorite MOBA-style battle game. But first, it's a special week for us.
Happy birthday, Axis.
Happy birthday, not Axis. Oh. Which is to say Water Elemental. Yes, my birthday was on Friday, and this young man's birthday was Wednesday. I was going to say Wednesday. I knew. You all knew that I knew. But just a little aside before we hop right into the news, because we have a patch, which everyone is super duper excited about.
And a flood of skins.
A whole mess of skins, some interesting stuff on the PBE, and some Red Post debate, especially regarding our always favorite subject, lore. So we're going to jump right into it, guys. The first thing on our massive list is the patch notes. The Heimerdinger rework dropped, so we got a brand new Heimerdinger poking around, shooting guns, blasting stuff with his turrets. A lot of people are excited about that. Of course, we have some Kassadin changes, making him more about a single auto-attack burst rather than auto-attacking guy that just sort of jumps in and swings a lot. Kind of making him a little bit more like Elise with his mobility.
Making him so, instead of having him like long fight durations and then popping out, he pops in, hits really hard, backs away, comes back in, hits you really hard, backs away. But one of the first changes he has is his passive Void Stone. It now lets him ignore unit collision, but it no longer grants attack speed.
This is unfortunate. I mean, this was part of his identity. I mean, you'd soak the damage, you get a little bit of bonus attack speed, and then you'd go in with your Nether Blades. But now that his Nether Blades is, well, it's more focused, he still has the minor bonus damage on his auto attacks, but now it does a bunch more damage on activation for a single attack. And it also has a ratio that scales with his missing mana. So those huge mana costing jumps can now actually increase your damage pretty high. So items that give magic and mana to him are going to be very, very effective because he can sort of double dip with things that give him ability power for mana missing, or well, for mana total rather.
Yeah, and the fact that it has no mana cost means that you can pop it when you're essentially out of mana. So,
you know, if you're rocking 2k mana or more and you're doing 8% of that,
that's scary.
It's it can mess people up pretty good.
Null Sphere now additionally grants casting a shield for 1.5 seconds that gives a ratioed ability power that scales. It no longer silences, but instead interrupts channeled spells. So,
which is like, what?
Yeah, and the damage on it actually went down.
Mm-hmm. But again, that shield, I guess they kind of want to make it a little bit more of a brawler. Allow him to get in and get out and sort of do a lot of crazy stuff. The interesting thing is they made Riftwalk scale off of his maximum mana, both in the base damage and the stacking damage. And the Riftwalk stacks, the way that the mana cost works, is it now just doubles the mana cost on stack. And I think this is exponential. However, they did significantly reduce the cooldown at later levels, and they did hit the maximum stacks quite hard. But they also made the stack duration much longer. So there's going to be a lot more tricks you can do, but all his abilities aren't going to hit as hard, but he's going to have a little bit more durability and a little bit more mobility. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's a trade that works for him, or if he just ends up falling apart.
Now, they've been doing a lot of testing on him, so I'm not sure if this is going to be something where they're still going to try to tweak it when it hits live service to see what other people do, but I know he's been on PBE for a long time.
Oh yeah, no, they've been trying to make Kassadin back to his glory days for quite some time. We'll have to see if it works.
Annie, she got some changes to her. Disintegrate reduced the cooldown by half on all kills, champion or minion. Decent change, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Disintegrate's always been something that's scaled pretty well with getting last hits. So making the cooldown more effective and making you able to use that as more of a CS tool is going to be even better for her.
And just some base damage changes to both Incinerate and Tibbers, just something to keep in mind.
Lower the base, increase the ratio. Pretty common changes. Diana, they gave her some more power on Moonsliver Blade, her passive, so she can get that auto attack bonus a lot better. Elise they're tinkering with, making the damage a little bit lower in some places, but increasing the duration on her stun. Just fun, cute stuff, and making the heals better on her spider forms, making the spiders a little bit more tanky, so she can focus a little bit more on group play to see how that pans out. Other than that, a lot of kind of minor changes, and of course the Heimerdinger rework. Heimerdinger, I haven't played with a ton of him. He wasn't popular before, and I've seen him a couple of games at first, but it kind of fell off pretty quick.
I've been playing mostly ARAM right now just because it gets me to try new champions. And I haven't come across one yet. I haven't had a chance to play one myself. I might play one in a boss game just to see how he feels. But I know that he doesn't appeal to those people that want to kind of sit back and build their kind of defenses like he used to be. So I know that's kind of one of those changes, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, no, Heimerdinger always kind of was a niche character. I had a few friends that would play him, and they'd kind of go to top lane, and they'd be goofy, and they'd have a good time, but he was never something that people were opting to pick first. Now he's got a little bit more bite to him. All of his abilities flesh together a little bit better. He's faster. He's a little bit meaner. And so I think these changes are going to make him a viable pick, but I think it's going to be a long time till that old stigma starts to go away. I mean, he's not incredibly different, but he still is different.
If he has one person play him very well in either a pro event or in some of the side events, he will become extremely playable, just because if the pros aren't playing a champion,
most people aren't playing a champion. There's
so
a lot of follow leader in this game, unfortunately. Yeah, next big matter, Kog'Maw. He got those big changes we kind of talked about for a while, where they made things like his Q into more of a skill shot. Spio Arcane Barrage doesn't cost mana, a lot like how they changed Tristana's auto attack speed buff to cost no mana. And the Ring Artillery got a minor bug fix. Nautilus, they're making it easier for the jungle, which I know you're excited about.
Yay, Nautilus got a buff. I play Nautilus support every now and again just because it's silly and no one expects Nautilus to hook you out of the bush and then just slow you for all eternity. But the Titan's Wrath cooldown going to 18 seconds on all ranks, plus a 5% increase to the health ratio, is extremely powerful, because it means that if you're playing him in jungle, he has his Titan shield up a lot faster. And that means if I'm jungling with him, or if I'm supporting with him, I'll have that shield up faster, I'll have the damage out more, and I'm just going to be able to harass.
Yeah, which is good. Nautilus players definitely needed that. Sivir, she got some tweaks to her mana costs, making them a little bit higher since she gets all that mana back anyway. And the damage loss per enemy hit went up on her Boomerang Blade, so some straight across the line nerfs for her. And a lot of other minor changes as well. They're still tinkering with Twisted Fate and Skarner after their big changes. And Vi, which in fact stands for violence, got a slight nerf to her little quick shot Vault Breaker, buff to the top end damage in terms of ratios. So it's going to scale a little better in the late game. Not quite as good in the early game.
Salt and Battery got additional cooldown, so it's going to be a lot longer for them to be up at later.
Early in the game.
Yeah.
But the knockback duration on the secondary targets was cut in half, and the knockback distance on secondary targets was knocked back. So it's going to be less disruptive. But again, she's going to be able to get into combat with a little bit more bite with the changes to her ratios. So hopefully that will work for her.
Wasn't she supposed to be disruptive when she jumped in? She was supposed to kind of like split apart.
I guess they changed their mind.
Ah, that hurts my head.
A lot of minor changes. They fixed some particles. They made some cool stuff look cooler. Definitely stuff you guys want to read in the whole. But other than that, made teleport a little bit more helpful. You can teleport to units now, but the cooldown is longer. Madreds and Wiggles, slight changes to that. Moved armor on it, which kind of shocked me, but they made the attack speed a little bit better, and they reduced the amount of gold that you get. So overall, kind of a nerf, but they made the gold cost a little bit less, so hard to argue with that.
And Vel'Koz got texture tweaks, makes him look a little bit smoother, a lot more detailed.
Matches the league a little bit better.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of particle changes in there, guys. I definitely read over the whole of the patch notes if you can. always up on the League of Legends website or on their patches. Take a look there, fellers.
A lot of skin news this week. Nothing really else coming from.
Yeah, we talked about some of these before, but they're finally out. So we have Arctic Ops Varus. It's available. You can pick it up. You can play this really cool and interesting, fun skin. We've talked about this a lot. It's a pretty neat looking skin. It's definitely a unique look for Varus. And he'll join the rest of the Arctic Ops fellas, and you can build a team out of it.
There was a teaser earlier in the week for, some thought was a Rumble remake, some people thought it was going to be just a normal skin. Turns out he's going to be getting a legendary skin that I think is really funny and clever, but you will not stand it because it's anime related and
Super Galaxy Rumble.
It's making fun of Gurren Lagann, and
I don't know what that is.
It's an anime.
Animu.
But the effects on it seem fairly good. The flamethrower spit.
The flamethrower I actually like a lot. I like the overheat version, especially with the blue flames.
Yeah, the blue flames. The shield
the
on
dragon's flame shield my fate.
The missiles are little drills that go by. The shield looks pretty cool. When he overheats, like his whole body's flashing red. Hopefully the voice of overheat changes, but that's something that's still being worked out. A lot of new voice work, kind of talking about how he's trying to rescue Tristana. I'm not sure the whole story about the Rumble skin. I'm wondering if Bandle City in this alternate skin
the plot
universe
is overrated anyway.
Foreshadowing. But yeah, it's interesting. I kind of want to see how that plays out, if we're going to get some more nifty kind of side stuff to it. We have 3 other skins that have been hitting the PBE alongside the Rumble skin. The first one is Night Hunter Rengar.
It's kind of like a gargoyle / cat / space mercenary. I like this skin. It's definitely a whole departure from his current look. And it looks awesome.
A lot of smoke effects to him. They added kind of, instead of being the normal yellow blades that come out, they're dark and kind of smoky
he looks
textures.
like a shadow mercenary. It's sweet.
When he cloaks, wow, it looks cool. a lot of scales pop up on him, or wait, no,
it's cloak mesh, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was for when he just hit in the bush or if that was just in general, but
it's pretty legit.
Not sure if he gets any voice work or anything like that, but nice to see that we're getting skins for champions that haven't had any in a while. Void skin finally has PB stuff on it. The
Void Fizz is looking real good.
He does have modulated voice, so he sounds like he's from the Void. It's really annoying. Hopefully kind of tweak it up a bit. It sounds like it is filtered through. It doesn't feel like they changed anything new to it. And the one I'm super excited about is Atlantean Syndra. Ooh, this one looks so cool.
I like Syndra. Syndra was a mid I played for the longest times, and I kind of go back to her every now and again just because I love Syndra. She's great. But this is definitely a skin that Water Elemental will enjoy because she's got water balls.
A lot
that
of
combines
water.
Your 2 favorite things, water and balls.
Shut up. My balls are...
It sounds like they're going to try and make some voices in there. They've got some water effects in there. It's hard to say.
Her basic animation where she opens like a whirlpool and jumps in is great.
Yeah, so I think it's a set that works really well for her. Syndra is one that's needed a skin for a while, so I'm glad it's finally coming around.
Malphite's getting a new...
Splash.
Didn't he get one recently and they changed it again? Or has it been the same?
I don't know what they're doing with Malphite. I never know. He's so old.
I like this art on it, though. It makes him look a lot bigger than anybody else in the picture, and he's just, crushing people. So it makes him feel like a giant earth elemental that just charges at you.
Earth elemental.
Earth! And then a couple of summer icons. Not sure what these are going to be for yet.
Some more items on the PBE. They're tweaking around with items and itemization changes. This is a lot of talk. And it's hard to say what, if anything, they're going to be doing with it, if anything. So this is stuff we're going to have to see with the next patch, guys. But I would definitely recommend looking over the PBE, checking out some stuff at our good friends at surrender20.net. There's a couple of new items, some that we've talked about, some that we haven't. Things like Aether Wisp, ability power, and movement speed builds off Twin Shadows and builds into Twin Shadows, rather. Forbidden item. A lot of small items that sort of build into each other. Basically, they want to make the early game for casters less about buying blasting ones and more about getting items that actually matter. Which is good. but ultimately we'll have to see. They're kind of tinkering around with the Wiggles Lantern meta item, but...
So yeah, right now
We'll
it
see.
just seems like they're adding a lot more smaller ability power items that you're going to just sell
eventually.
Well,
Well, not sell, but they build into the items.
It doesn't
that you're
look
going to
like it doesn't look like they're building in anything right now.
Well, the Etherwith builds into Lichbane or the Twin Shadows, and that Forbidden Idol builds into, let's say, the Morellonomicon and the Talisman of Ascension. So
Gotcha.
again, just to make it so you're not waiting to buy some particular items or having to buy particularly expensive items. But other than that, guys, a lot of red posts talking about Xerath, talking about new skins, talking about itemization, and finally talking about lore.
Remember the last time we talked about lore and it became really bad and
Like
awful?
29,000 minutes of lore discussion.
Well,
So recently, their head narrator, their lead narrator, mentioned something at what was it, GDC, and he was talking about how plot is kind of overrated for games of this type, and that's been sort of thrown around in the lore forums constantly, just as like, well, we finally figured it out.
they stopped caring.
Riot Games stopped caring. And so one of their PR guys took the forums and was just sort of talking about, our lore team is really good and really motivated, and, they're going about it a whole different way, and we want you guys to like that. And that Jinx video we did, we know you guys hated, but my wife loved it, and she wants to play. And basically he was kind of backpedaling a little bit and trying to justify
What they've been trying to do.
what they've been trying to do.
Some of it has worked, mind you. The Vel'Koz, the way that they brought up Vel'Koz, is a good step in the right direction. They built up a lot of kind of theme and atmosphere for this champion coming out and felt like, okay, this is something that should be addressed and delved into more. But they're probably not going to. Music videos are great on their own kind of side note thing, but you kind of got to give us more, because Manic Gypsy Flat-Chested Princess doing a music video doesn't give us much of the character other than the fact that she likes blowing stuff up and she has fat hands.
Yeah, so the main thing I think that he was trying to get across with that is that we have a wide audience to appeal to. They have the casual people, and then they have the fanatics, and there wasn't a whole lot of degrees of separation there. And so basically he was trying to say that they want their lore to appeal to people on the casual side, and then they want to have lore for their hardcore people, and they want to kind of do both. Now, the problem with that is most people that play kind of casually, they don't care about the lore. They know that there are good guys and bad guys, and that there are weird dudes, and then there are girls that they like to touch. And that's fine. That's fine. That's easy. But you don't have to make lore for those people. They don't really care. If they care, they'll look into it. And in which case, you don't want your lore full of teasers and suggestion. You want to have follow-up. I mean, that's one of the biggest issues a lot of people take with League of Legends lore, is that there's a lot of teasers and there's no follow-up. Like, literally none. We get an initial reveal of a champion, and then we get next to nothing after their initial lore is published. We may get a mention later on, like, I don't know, with Vel'Koz, where it's like, for instance, they're like, oh,
The tower thing.
your power is unknown to everyone, and it's like, that could mean that he has a really weird microwave at his loft. It doesn't mean anything. So I think that's one of the biggest issues people have, is that like that's not a plot. That's just people talking about stuff that doesn't make sense. And so people want justification for that. People want a reason for things to happen. This is a big world with a lot of big people. Big stuff should be happening, and as far as we can tell, it's not.
And that's what happened. The game was originally supposed to have a huge story, and it was supposed to make you feel for the characters, build alliances, kind of have your favorite characters, because they wanted to kind of distinguish themselves from, at the time,
We had crap like
Dota.
Noxus battling Alona to do their rematch for who's going to survive, and
yeah.
there hasn't been stuff like that in years.
And the thing is, you compare it to Dota 2 now, which they have somewhat of a storyline, but they have events. They have things that kind of tie into it. We had a Skeleton King event where they pretty much changed the character's model and they gave a reason for it. they do stuff like that. They try to put lore in it, but League made a ground level, here's our lore. Here's the reason why you should care about this character. Here's his story. That's what's going to happen with him. We're going to build upon it. You're going to like this character, and as the game progresses, we're going to add on to him, as well as bring in supporting characters who also have their own lore.
And we're going to have a Journal of Justice that tells you what's going on in the world.
And I had a interview at a game company. I told them if I ever wanted to build a game, I wanted to have one that's going to have a lot of characters that you're going to, enjoy. And there's those characters. You're not going to base your decision on a metagame. You're going to base your decision on which character is your favorite and why. And they asked me why I wanted to do that. It's like, well, you want to build a connection with characters because people want to attach themselves to something, give them a purpose.
Anyone can play a character and shoot the bad guys.
But if you feel like Garen is your character, if you lock in Garen, you're going to have the confidence to go in and play well.
Demacia.
And shout Demacia. You don't have people shouting Demacia because, it's a silly catchphrase and it's a meme. No, people shout Demacia because it's a nation, and people have characters inside of that nation that build up, and you gain that trust towards those group of people. Lux, Garen, J4. They're honorable people. They have a cause they're fighting for. You don't hear people...
And it's cool.
People don't dress up as Jinx because they want to, fight her cause. They pick her because she's an easy cosplay.
And
two different
was
types
in a music video.
So you got those two different people. If you start playing towards those people that gain that kind of attachment to characters, you will have a stronger fan base, and probably in the end a lot less toxicity if you think about it, because people are playing more for the fun of that character than they are winning, if that makes sense. But there's my game design rant, and there's kind of my say in it. Substance. I play RPGs not because of the combat system. I play for the story and the characters.
Or as Victor would say, function over form.
Getting back into PBE stuff we should talk about before we get into another big rant. There were some Rengar changes.
Yeah, they're making Rengar's bone tooth necklace not an item, but a trinket.
So pretty much you will pick one of the 3 trinkets that will normally be in Summoner's Rift, but it will be his bone tooth necklace. It will have its passive of when you gain a kill, you gain 1 charge on it. If you get an assist, you gain 1 charge on it. If you die, you lose 1 charge on it. And the effects pretty much still are the same, but instead of taking an item slot, it's the trinket.
Yeah, and there's also some potential changes to summoner spells to make them a little bit more intuitive, make them a little bit stronger, in certain cases a little bit weaker in other cases. And they're also tinkering with boot enhancements. These are all very hypothetical, and I would go over to the PBE community and do a full read of this, guys, because this is important, but it's way, way, way in the early stages of planning, and no one knows if it's going to be finalized or not. So I would wait, guys, take a look, sort of get a feel for what they might do, and then look forward to it in the coming patches. But otherwise, I believe that's it for official news. Lots of skins coming out soon.
A lot of good skins.
A lot of item changes, a lot of summer spell changes, all looking to craft the next season into something worth playing. But we're going to move on to our own section, which is horrifically barren. You people.
Let us down.
You let us down. Master 12, where were you?
Where was our, happy birthday? Nothing. It's empty. There's literally 0 comments on the last section.
Tut. Now, guys, we normally answer at least 2 questions every week, but we got nothing on the Facebook, nothing at @gmail.com, nothing in the comments section.
Not even on our Twitter that I'm using every now and again.
Yeah. But, guys, we try to answer at least 2 questions every week. We normally would right now, but we didn't get any.
So I'll ask you this question. Are you going to be watching Free to Play, the movie that is available on Steam for free?
Do I get any Steam points for it?
No.
Not interested.
But it has to do with...
Not... We love questions. We try to answer at least 2 every week. If you have any questions for us about the show, about League of Legends, about gaming in general, please, and I do mean please, we need them. It's an integral part of our show. Post them in the comments section below. Send them to our email at spazticgaming@gmail.com, or post it on our new Facebook page, or send it to our Twitter account. All of that information is down below the video. You check it in the information section and send one in for us. We'll take a look-a-rooney, see what we can do for you. Otherwise, it's been Axis.
And Water Elemental.
And I'm going to go play with my birthday gift. Thank you.